What is the creepiest or most unexplained thing that's happened to you that you still think and or wonder about to this day? I was 20 staying with my husband's friends in West Palm Beach, Florida. In the middle of the night, my husband screamed. I opened my eyes and there was a dark figure of a man standing at the foot of the bed. He stood at my husband's feet. I screamed and leapt out of the bed, hitting the wall light switch. The figure was gone, and our friends were banging on the door. It was very strange that we both saw the exact same thing. 1988, we were renting a refurbished house that was part log cabin from the 1700s. Was on the john in the bathroom when I heard 3 very loud knocks on the wall beneath the bathroom window. Looked out the window, nada. 30 seconds later it happened again, and again nothing outside. Later, wife and I decide to plant some stuff beneath the bathroom window outside, and 4 inches down we hit a concrete slab. Turns out the bathroom used to be entranceway to the log house. Spooky as hell. Stayed over at a friend's house. In the middle of the night I woke up to what sounded like someone walking in the attic above us. Thought nothing more of it, and went back to sleep. Wake up and on his ceiling were footprints in a perfect circle around his light bulb, as if someone was walking upside down around the light. Showed it to him, and he just shrugged and said he thought his house was haunted, but it didn't bother him. That was 30 years ago, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. It isn't very interesting as I live a pretty chill life. But a month or so after my cat went missing, the doors started to open a little, like they would when she was around. And sometimes I felt cold patches on my body where she used to sleep, and the bed dipped. I'm not sure if ghosts are real or not, but I like to think it was her watching out for me. I miss the asshole. Life hasn't been the same without her, but every now and again some random little thing happens that reminds me, if ghosts are real and such, that she's still looking out for me. Years ago now, my best friend and I were in a cafe just wasting time, and we saw a man watching us through a mirror hanging on a wall across from us. Something about this man was so bone chilling, so creepy, our gut immediately kicked in, and we both looked at each other and acknowledged how creepy and off this man was. He continued to watch us, so we left the cafe and joked about on our walk home. We were about 16 and just brushed it off. About a week later this man comes into my work. His face and whole presence is unforgettable. I texted my best friend and informed her that he was at my work yet again, staring at me without ever looking away. He was pretending to browse the store's inventory, but obviously intended on not buying anything. He stared and stared. I told a coworker and walked away for a bit. Strange, but small community and you see people everywhere. Side note, both my best friend and I have lived in this community for most our lives and had never seen this man. Alright, fast forward to a few weeks later, and we are at a store late evening in a completely different part of our huge city. We are browsing, and the man is there, at this shop that we hardly visit, late, and he was there. He walks in the downstairs entrance and looks directly up at us as we were looking over the upstairs railing. We nervously giggle and shout profanities in disbelief. This really off-putting man is here. It was crazy. We told our other friends we were with, and we immediately left. A little later he returned to my place of work, spooking me just as much as he did the first time I saw him. My coworker and manager tell me to go upstairs and pretend to do something, to not be around him. He immediately follows me upstairs, and then my manager follows him, as he is aware of the situation and my strange sightings of this man. He hastily walks up to the desk I was behind, and before my manager can pull him away from me and ask him to leave the store, he looks right at me and says, "Can I ask you something? Do I make you uncomfortable?" I don't know what it was, but something took over my body and I filled with dread and fear and immediately started crying. I have never had anything like this happen to me. This man had never talked to me before, just look at my friend and I really intently. My manager tells him he needs to go now and never come back. The thing is, everyone immediately picked up on the very strange, creepy, uncomfortable energy he put out. My coworker had no idea what he looked like as I had never explained, and he immediately pointed him out when he entered our work and asked if that was him. Everyone agreed something was very off. Our woman asked that I be walk to my car if I was getting off work late from that point on. I wish I could convey with better and more descriptive words what kind of feeling this man put off my best friend, and I still discuss it. It was 9 years ago. Worked as a night auditor at an old hotel. It was around 2 AM and I get a phone call from the pool room, which is supposed to be closed. I pick up the phone and answer, and all I hear is very heavy breathing. I hang up the phone and check the cameras and all the lights are on in the pool room. So I go down the hallway to kick whoever it is out. But as I get close to the glass door, it is so cold I can see my breath. The door is completely fogged over and all the lights are out. I open the door and the light above me comes on because they are motion sensor lights. I'm looking around, but I don't see anything. Then the light comes on across the pool from me, but nothing is there. Then every light in a path begins to light up around one side of the pool, as if something is walking towards me. I ran out of there so fast and locked myself in my manager's office and stayed until sunrise. But the worst was yet to come. I had played it off in my head as bugs causing the motion sensor lights to go off. I was telling my manager about my experience so he would get a good laugh. When I told him about the phone call from the pool, he didn't laugh at all. He asked me if I was 100% positive the caller I'd said the pool room, and I said yeah. Then he told me there hasn't been a phone in the pool room for 30 years. I told him there was no way, because that would be physically impossible. He told me to go look for myself. I looked and there was no phone. Complete and total mindfuck, because I didn't believe in the supernatural at all before that. But to this day, no matter how many ways I try to rationalize it, I just can't. It is completely unexplainable. My family has tons of weird paranormal stuff, but the one I actively think about had nothing to do with ghosts or anything. My best friend vanished in like 4th or 5th grade. Her whole family just up and left without warning. Got a phone call from her months later saying she missed me and she was safe, but wasn't allowed to give any details. Someone came in the room and she had to hang up. To this day I have no freaking clue what happened. Every now and then I try to find her on social media. No luck yet. This wasn't creepy but very strange. So I came home from school one day and I was unpacking my bag. I accidentally dropped a sandwich that I hadn't eaten earlier out from my bag, and when I bent down to get it, it was gone. I looked all over that floor and no sandwich. It just disappeared into thin air. To this day I believe that sandwich went to the underworld. I live in a beach town, and one of my friends had just got back to her parents' house for the summer, so I went over to hang out for a little while. Since it wasn't late, when I went to go home I figured I'd take the long way home, to drive along the bay for the view of the stars and the lights of the ships waiting to go up the river. When I got to the road that runs along the bay, I realized I wasn't going to see anything, because heavy fog had rolled in, which is super common in the spring. This road is a 25 miles per hour road with a beach and trails over the dunes on the left, and houses on the right. I was driving along the road with pretty bad visibility with how foggy and dark it was. All of a sudden from my left I see a figure coming up the dune and towards the road. I slammed on my brakes hard enough to skid a little because I thought it was someone coming off the beach to go to a house across the road. It had the shape of a woman in a long dress, but I couldn't see any facial features. When it got to the middle of the road, the figure had just floated up at an angle and disappeared. There wasn't a beach access trail where I saw it, and I can't figure and logical explanation for the way it hovered and took off. I was stopped and watched it until it disappeared, trying to figure it out. It freaked me out pretty bad honestly, and even 5 to 6 years later I still can picture the way it moved like it was yesterday. About 1973, I went to work. Got out of the car, walked to the entrance, and on the way, saluted Warrant Officer Fadi because he was in uniform. He had always worn civilian clothes. He waved me on and said he'd be in a minute. I got to my office and expected to be the first one there because I always got there first as the lowest ranking guy in the office and had to make the coffee. I was surprised that the chief, a captain, and his senior sergeant were already in the office. The captain asked me to sit down at my desk. I thought I was in trouble. He said he had some bad news. Warrant Officer Fadi was killed in a head-on collision at 3 AM that morning. I protested that I had just seen him outside in the parking lot. The captain said he and the sergeant had identified the body just an hour earlier. I came home from work late at night, and when I walked in the house, Amazon Alexa started naming off funeral homes unprompted. I was driving at night after a football game as a high school student. My younger sister was in the passenger seat and my friend was in the middle back seat, leaning forward to chat with us easier. We were dropping my friend off before heading home and driving down a pretty dark road to get there. We lived in a rural area, so no street lights. Suddenly, my sister and friend both gasp, and I step on the brakes, thinking they must have seen a deer or something. They're both in shock, asking me if I just saw that old man who flashed up in the middle of the road and then disappeared. I hadn't seen anything, but I was terrified. They were both so shocked and had the exact same reaction. My friend didn't even want to get out at his house once we got there, he was so scared. Thanks for watching and share your stories. Don't forget to consider the idea to maybe think about potentially subscribing. Peace.